Nothing. It's perfect. Don't change a syllable. And give me more of where that came from. What?
I've been making stuff on the internet for 22 years now. Been making YouTube videos for 16 years. Most of it's crap, but that's beside the point. The point is that I've spent the majority of my life engaged with art and entertainment through the internet. And yet, it still feels weird to me to think of it as today's primary source of art and entertainment. That kids today watch way more YouTube than they do television, listen to way more Spotify than they do the radio. I suppose a childhood in a more analog time will do that to you. The late 2000s and early 2010s marked an interesting transition point between the TV and internet eras, as the latter began to bleed into the former. iCarly is the most obvious touchstone here, a cable show about making a web show. And there were times popular web shows and personalities moved to television. You had Annoying Orange on Cartoon Network, Drunk History on Comedy Central, College Humor on MTV, and on good old Nickelodeon, Fred the Show, bringing Lucas Cruikshank's YouTube personality Fred Figglehorn to a children's television audience. And today, we're not going to just look at an episode of a web video turned television show, we're going to look at an episode of a web video turned television show about web videos. Freddy and the Figglettes is technically a two-part finale, the 23rd and 24th episode of Fred the Show's only season. But the episodes are 10 minutes long, and these two aired on the same day, one right after the other, so you know, a normal half-hour episode of TV. Originally airing on August 3rd, 2012, these episodes were written by Lanny Horn and Josh Silverstein, a writing duo who had worked on shows like Sunny with a Chance, So Random, and Supa Ninjas. They were directed by Dave Payne, who had mostly done cheap action slog before this like Alien Terminator and Showgirl Murders. The only thing he had done for a younger audience prior to Fred the Show was that 1998 made-for-TV Addams Family movie with Tim Curry. A big-time music producer has arrived at Fred's school, looking for the next big pop star. Clearly, Fred's best friend Star is going to ace the auditions. She's naturally talented, and Fred is there to support her. However, it's Fred that catches the producer's ear.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Stop the music. I've heard enough. You're perfect.
What, me? No.
Yes. I know you have the it factor.
Really? Are you sure you don't mean the factor?
Well, this is clearly an odd choice, and Star starts to think that something much more sinister is going on. Turns out Star's instincts are correct. The music producer is actually Cassandra Blue, a young singer who a few years ago released a music video for the song Human, which was so bad it became a huge laughingstock.
Not an animal or machine, I'm a human.
Since then, Cassandra's been trying to get someone else to have an even bigger web music video bomb, and since Fred is so weird and annoying, she thinks he's her golden ticket. Star tries to warn Fred, but Fred takes it as Star being jealous. And the music video, the Figgle Wiggle, is uploaded.
My dance moves are hacked and groovy. Check 'em out as I shake my booty. Do the Figgle Wiggle, do the Figgle Wiggle. Everybody, everywhere, do the Figgle Wiggle.
And yeah, it becomes the internet's new laughingstock. Fred's initially too clueless to realize and assumes he's famous. But when it finally clicks that people are laughing at him, not with him, he begins to spiral. The obvious reference point here is the music video for Rebecca Black's Friday, which had been posted on YouTube 19 months before this episode aired. The song and video quickly became notorious for its low quality and strange creative decisions, spreading across the internet as the worst music video of all time. And look, I'm not here to do a redemptive reading and say that Friday was secretly good, but as the internet is wont to do, the reaction was incredibly overblown, needlessly mean, and targeting the wrong person. Rebecca Black was only 13 years old when the video went up. She didn't write the song or produce the video. It was really just a present from her parents, something silly for her to share with her friends. Except it escaped containment. and Rebecca Black received the brunt of the harassment over a low-quality but ultimately harmless thing. Nobody should have to deal with that. Above all things, I just wish I could go back and talk to my 13-year-old self, who is terribly ashamed of herself and afraid of the world. To my 15-year-old self, who felt like she had nobody to talk to about the depression she faced. To my 17-year-old self, who would get to school only to get food thrown at her and her friends. To my 19-year-old self, who had almost every producer/songwriter tell me they'd never work with me. In a lot of ways, Fred the Show was the perfect platform to explore the idea of receiving harassment for goofy online videos. The Fred web series, the bulk of which Lucas made when he too was a child, received a great deal of hate because people thought the character was annoying. And even today, there's a lot of people who look at Fred with absolute disdain. When I said I was going to do a sample platter on this show on Blue Sky, the reaction was pretty universally negative towards the show, like aggressively so. My replies felt very 2012 that day. And it's fine if Fred isn't your cup of tea. He isn't really my cup of tea. The character's intentionally annoying hyperactivity and cluelessness just isn't my speed. But it's also harmless. There's no dastardly villain behind the scenes. It's a kid who had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make something big, just like Rebecca Black did with Friday. But how well does the episode tackle the subject matter? Kind of a mixed bag, but leaning towards a decent job. It rightfully falls on the side of, hey, harassing someone about an embarrassing internet video is bad, actually, with Fred giving the class a speech about how it could happen to any one of them.
Laugh with my dad. It's much more funny. It makes even the rainiest days seem sunny.
Laugh with, not at, is a very wisdom from mom kind of thing, in the same league as, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. It's a bit of a shallow response, but the episode does subvert it in a way that I thought was pretty clever, in having Fred and Star catching themselves laughing at a neighbor.
Is that Kevin with his arm stuck in the mailbox?
It is! Quick, get out your phone. I mean, laugh with, not at.
Laugh with, not at. It's much more funny.
It's a very Seinfeld-style joke. I like it. The stuff that doesn't work, I'm not sure making the Rebecca Black stand-in the villain was the right call. It's not subtle. Everyone who knows about Friday will know that this character is supposed to be Rebecca Black, which means the episode is contributing to the dogpiling by making her unhinged and maniacal. You can imagine the school bullies using this as ammunition. Ha ha, this crazy girl on this stupid Fred show is you! Kind of defeats the whole purpose of the episode, you know? There's also a lot of recapping in Part 2, which would make sense if there was any time between Part 1 and Part 2 airing, but nobody in the history of the world has ever watched Freddy and the Figglettes with a week-long break between episodes, so that's just structurally weird. So yeah, there's plenty of room for improvement, but I think this episode was a lot smarter than Fred the Show's reputation would suggest. It was perhaps the most perfect show for this kind of story, a once-in-a-lifetime metatext that drew from the show's own online history. And it was the right kind of messaging against the online circus we've seen countless times since Friday. We have not learned our lesson. Just from these episodes alone, I can tell you that there were many programs far worse than Fred the Show. Most Dan Schneider shows are more shallow than this. Doesn't mean you have to like it, but, you know, we all need a little perspective. Does the rest of Fred the Show hold up to this? That's a question for another day. This was just a sample.